soldiers. I got a lot about the super soldiers at the moment. A lot of them, just so I've got it on the recording and I don't have to repeat myself, they are working and training because the next level to get New Earth here means they have to be present with the military because the military are going to take over at some point. So they're under a certain type of training to step out of being a super soldier and being normal military. So that's why they're getting this, because they have two different levels of consciousness. They can go off and do dimensional work with the super soldier power, but they've also got to remember how to be here with the civilians on Earth. So what they're doing is they're doing a special sort of off-planet training so that they can work and be seen as normal military. They won't be in military uniform. They'll just be like a normal citizen, but they'll be in the crowd to control any masses or problems that are going on in the streets. And they'll be able to do citizens' arrests and things like that. And they'll be notified. They'll be known who they are. Right. But they're stepping up in that sort of aspect of themselves. Because I said, what's all this training that's going on off planet? And they said there's so much training going off planet because there's so much needs to be in place, not only for what's about to happen in the old Earth, but what's going to happen in the new Earth and how to go back to simplifying things. And as things get taken away from people, they have to learn to modify their lifestyles. And so this is where they're going to come in and support and help. And the giant's going to teach us and things like that. That's why a lot of beings will come down and help us. So they'll come and show us certain ways of doing things without any, what's the word? You know how they manipulate things like medicines and food source, and because the food chain has been it's got to the worst now where what they've been doing, and this is disgusting, but this is what they told me yesterday when I was out in the garden, that they've had where the hospice and old people homes been killing people for the meat food chain. And so they actually die and they take them basically straight to slaughter. And most of the times the ones that are getting buried in the ground, the coffins are filled with something or are empty because a lot of people aren't viewing bodies anymore, fear of viruses and things, so they don't go in. So a lot of people don't bother. A lot of people don't do it anymore. It's just a thing. It's kind of like, oh, well, we'll have the funeral and that's it. And they lift up the casket thinking there's a body in there, and it's not. It's probably just a bag of beans or something. So what they've been doing is putting the bodies, especially in the US, in the food chain, in the meat chain. And so the hospice and the homes get paid per body. It's disgusting. And the funeral directors are all in on it too.
Mongrels.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So we haven't been eating real meat for a long time.
Oh, well, that's what's happened to us. We just got to deal with it.
Yeah, and they said, if you look, there's not enough cows or chicken in this world to supply the food chain. There's not. That's why they create things like what was it, foot and mouth, bird flu, all those things.
I see. Reduce the numbers of animals. Well, thank goodness we always
tell you what, with New Earth coming, that's why a lot of animals need to be rescued, because a lot of them will go to slaughter. And we have to rescue them before that. We have to keep them safe. So that's going to be happening a lot more too. So
it's already happening.
What's that?
It's already happening.
Yeah, it is. And, the other thing that they were doing in places like Asia, because there wasn't enough chicken, they were just using local birds. It's horrible. So that's what's been going on there. So that's super soldiers, meat food chain. Not so much in smaller countries like us, but big countries like Russia, Europe, US, Australia even. And I always used to say the meat over there the beef over there was disgusting. that's what turned me off meat, actually, living over there. And people used to say to me, because they they weren't really fed proper grass, and that it was all dry, brown
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm.
But it wasn't. It was probably something else. And the mountain people were telling me this too. They said that's what's been happening. So there's no such thing as fresh meat in the food chain anymore. I went, really? Oh. Okay. So the mountain people, and who are they? So they are the people that were here first of all with the alpha beings. So you had two different races. You had the black alpha beings of the beautiful galactics. They were a galactic being, and you had a human being already here, Godman, and they were made to be covered in a lot of hair because they came in first to the cold places. So you had the alpha beings coming into the warm places like Africa, and then you had the mountain people coming into places, and that's where we're going today: Alaska, Iceland, Greenland, up past Norway, up past Finland, up in the snowy capped mountains. And so what happened was first of all, they looked like the Indians, because some of them weren't as hairy, and some people saw them as, like the Indian tribes in the early days in the mountains. And so they're very similar to an ape man because of their hair. And there's genetics of them in the human race. You see men that are super hairy, they have lots of hair on their back and chest and up their neck and up here, and they try to shave it. And you can just tell they're really, really hairy beings if they didn't manage it. Well, they're part of the mountain people. They are a genetic side from the mountain people. They've sort of come into the flow a bit. But the true mountain people do look like ape men, and that's why they get mistaken for the Sasquatch. However, they said the Sasquatch, how to identify them if you ever come across, because you see the Sasquatch dimensionally, they have a smoother, flat face. The mountain people have the big forehead with the sunken eyes and the big hairy head and long hair and so forth. They have more hair coming off their head. And that's why when you see Shell, the female one I drew, her hair is really long. It's like down around here somewhere. And she said it actually keeps them warm. They wrap it around them, keeps them warm. So, which made sense to me. She said when we have the babies, we wrap them under our hair. So that's the difference from a Sasquatch to a mountain person. So when they say they've had a Sasquatch sighting, it's not, it's a mountain person, and that's why they roar and carry on and become aggressive and make lots of noise, because they don't want to come into civilization. They don't want to be found. They don't want to be discovered. They're very, very shy, but they have to sound scary because they don't want to be followed. They don't want to be found and go into where they live. A lot of people won't get to them because they do live very high off the ground. They prefer height rather than ground level. The only time they're down on the ground is when they're searching for berries and food source. They don't like killing animals. They try not to kill animals. They'd rather eat an animal that's already gone than to kill one. They don't go out spear hunting and bow and arrow hunting and things like that. They don't like it. But they prefer not to be found or seen. So when they're on the ground, sometimes they get heard or seen. So they make these scary noises, aggressive noises, to keep people away from them. They said, we wouldn't harm you, but we've got to seem to come across that way. Whereas the giants are gentle, so are the mountain people, but they have to act scary to protect themselves. So I said, why aren't I getting an activation? They said, because we want to remain in hiding. We're here for the rest of the eternity, but we don't want to be activated so that we're out in the new earth. We'll still go to new earth or be part of new earth because we hold it in place. We are the space holders from the original creation of earth. It's the same frequency. but it's a new diamond consciousness that's coming in, and that's what they're holding space for. It's actually protected. So, and they said they don't like to socialize. They don't want to socialize with anyone, which I can probably understand. You know, who wants to socialize with the Matrix people?
Yeah.
Medicine, they don't need medicine. They don't get sick because they live naturally and they live off the land. There's nothing to make them sick. The diamond consciousness allows them to know when people are near, when they're in danger, that kind of thing. So a lot of the time they have to move on. Some of them live in caves that we wouldn't be able to find. Only they know how to find them. Do you remember sometime on Instagram where someone said they saw a hole up in a big mountain and they could see that it had been a cave? Well, that was one of the mountain people. They put big boulders over the front of it like a door, close it off. What else did they say? Oh, so because they're up high, they have a different view. And they showed that to me last night. And I was really scared. I was about 1,000 feet up off water level on top of this gravel. I'd come up through the bush and I remember seeing blackberries and things like that. And they were scratching me. And I went, oh, that's just, you know. And then I came up to this big gravel platform and I said, you're right, you're right. And I could see my foot slipping. I could see if I slipped any further, I'd fall 1,000 feet into the water. They said, we won't let you. And it was the old 1,000-year-old trees that they've been showing us, you know, that are actually, you know, 1,000-foot trees. And it's filled up over time with water and it becomes their lake. But down beneath it is where the gold is kept and some of the stargates that we're going to discover. And they protect those. And they're bottomless, they said. They just keep going and going and going and going because that's because it was an old tree and the root system connects up, you know, all through Earth. It's bottomless.
Yeah.
So they watched from the top platforms and they have watched Earth be destroyed by man. And they said, had they not have been here holding the space, Earth wouldn't be here today. They've held it in space. So what's happened is they've seen so many different wars and things where, you know, the chemicals in the air, they see chemical spills, spraying of food, all sorts of torture that we've been under, frequency danger, all sorts of things. They said, just because we're here holding space, Earth would have gone by now. But the mountain people have kept us here, kept the planet here. It could have been a lot worse. And I always remember they used to talk about end times and the planet would burst and burn up in flames. They actually said it could have done that several times over already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because of the technology they have, and that's why they hate technology. They said, we don't like technology. We have nothing to do with it. They said it implants you every time you use it. And I said, yeah, I know, it's horrible stuff. Anyway.
Fines.
Minder of crystals and gold. And they said to tell Val this morning after you did your grid, they said they're really pleased because a lot of the crystals that you did place are the ones that they protect even now, plus the new ones that are about to be discovered, especially the Herkimer diamond. They said that is the most valuable crystal on earth. Try and get your silver, your gold, and your Herkimer diamonds, which we've talked about before. This was interesting. They were telling me this yesterday when I was over in the portal. So you know the kids that go missing in the mountains, they rescue them. They keep them and they get raised by the mountain people. They become mountain people. And they said over the years they have rescued so many children that were going to be taken.
Oh, bless them.
I know. And animals, dogs and cats and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So they said we rescue the children and animals, live in caves, prefer height than land, original 8 people but human. And that was probably it. They watched Earth, yep, got that. And the old trees. So the old trees that wherever we see them, and a lot of people are posting them now on Instagram and Facebook, and they say that is not a mountain, that is not a pyramid, it's a tree.
Yeah.
And you can see that. You can see the structure of the trunk and everything, coming down. Wherever you see one of those, even if there's no mountains around and it's flat, the mountain people will be about. They will be about.
Okay.
And they said they're going to make themselves known to people like us because they know they can trust us. So this is the start of communication. But to others, they will be harmed. And so they won't do it.
Survival.
They're quite sensitive.
Yeah.
They're really worried about their safety. They're worried about their lifestyle, their habitat, their cave.
Of course. Well, they've seen all this stupidity happen here. That's why they don't want to be part of it.
Yeah, they said that's what they said. They said the human race is dumb. They said you people are so dumb. I said, in what way? And they said, because of what you've allowed. And they said, now look what's happening in the world with the countries being taken over by religions and things.
Mm.
And they said only the ones like you that are awake, that have not allowed yourselves to be programmed and see through it, are the ones that are going to change things. You are the strong ones, the smart ones. You have a different IQ, different intelligence. And they noticed that in the school program, and that's why we were treated the way we were. A lot of us.
Do they work in the mines or the gold mines or the coal mines or anything? Do they help if there's a catastrophe down there? Do they go in and rescue them?
They probably do, because they do help in a lot of things, but they just don't want to be seen.
But most of the time they're up at the peak, right, of the mountains.
Yeah, they could be doing something without being seen, like when they come down. But I'll ask them. Just asking Alfie. Alfie and Shell are a different generation. They're the generation coming in to help New Earth. So they're coming in to hold that space, that consciousness. The older generation, I'm hearing, used to help the gold mines because they used to collapse quite a bit.
Mm.
Okay, that's what I got earlier.
But they didn't want to be seen. They had to be very careful how they did it.
Yeah.
I said, because I asked them, I said, is that your footprint or is it a Sasquatch footprint? They said, you wouldn't see the footprint of a Sasquatch. You'd see it through this. I said, so it's yours.
Yeah.
It's a normal human foot, but it's just very wide because it's got to hold their body.
How
Yes,
tall are they?
most of them are blackish brown, reddish brown, those sort of colors. And like snowman, sometimes they can be, if they're from the snowy mountains, which are always snow, are white. But most of them are brown, reddish brown, auburn brown, blackish brown.
How tall?
I did ask one of them, how tall are you? The average height is between 6'5" and 7 foot.
Okay.
The giants were
That's
they were mostly 10, 9.
Mm.
So they're smaller than a giant.
Do they use frequency when they're out? When they communicate with each other and stuff?
They use it to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Right.
there's danger coming or something like that.
Mm.
The kids don't leave the mountains until they're older because they're protected. They're very, very protected with the babies.
Understandably.
There's rules. They're not allowed to come down the mountains, because if they do, they don't know. They don't have the knowledge and the wisdom yet to do what they have to do. So they don't. There's a certain coming of age when they're allowed to come down and go looking for food and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're interesting people, that's for sure. They watch us all the time. We're always being watching. They protect us. They watch us. I've seen them on the edges of the mountains. Remember I told you I saw the tribes and the mountain people trees at that time when we had the protests? And they came through from up. There were so many of them. You could see them. You could see their outline. And they have a white diamond outline around them because they are diamond conscious. You can see it around them. They're quite special, really, when you think about it. They're a little bit different from the giant energy, which you'll probably discover today. So where are we going? Alaska. And there's a place in the middle of Alaska. They didn't tell me what it's called, obviously for protection, but there's an old tree trunk there, and it's between 1,000, they said between 1,000 feet high and more. They don't know how to measure it. And we're going there. Okay. And we're to come in and land on the platform and look down over the land like I did last night. And it was amazing. All the mountains, because it's not snowy at the moment, it's summer, so you can see the green, you can see the red, you can see actually some of the colors of the crystals that you have on the grid. You could see them in the mountains because there's some of those mountains that are untouched, are full of crystals, which are being protected for New Earth. And I had a 360 view all the way around, and then the water and the actual tree trunk down the bottom, the lake, which is massive, if you can imagine a huge giant lake. It was a deep blue. It wasn't a tropical clear blue. It was a deep, dark blue. Yeah, really like a deep sapphire blue, almost black. And so that's how they live. That's how they survive in the mountains. And they use these top of the trees and that for their viewpoint, I suppose. And they taught the Indians that. The Indians. And they were showing me, they taught the Indians that Indian tribes knew how to look from above because the Indians were born on ground. They had to learn how to go up and do their viewing. And that's how when they knew the Yankees and things like that were coming in, because what happened was they taught them to go up and learn how to use viewing platforms. And that's how that all came about. Same with other Russian tribes and tribes around the world. They have, a lot of the tribes around the world do know who they are. They know of them.
So there'd be the mountain elementals and all of those.
Oh yeah,
too.
Yeah, they've got the elementals with them, and they've also got. They were telling me in those trees where water is. They've got water elementals. I forgot about that. Good. Yeah, water elementals.
Okay. Cool.
So, and the elementals will protect them too, because if they see anything or they know of something,
they'll let them know.
I'll let them know. Yeah. They also told me they always know when there's an earthquake coming because they hear it first. They get to see it first. They can feel it rolling in.
Ah. Wow.
Yeah.
Are they near the Black Pyramid?
All the way around the coastline and the mountains there is. It comes down to a point, that area of Alaska. Right. Yeah, and he's showing me and he's drawing it, and he said there's mountain ridges all the way around. And they're not allowed near it because they don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
They also told me they help in avalanches. They rescue people in avalanches. And that's why when some people go missing or are dead, they're actually with mountain people.
Geez, they do heaps.
They do lots.
You've got lots of information. That's cool.
And the crystals that they're protecting in the caves that they haven't been found yet, deep down in those caves, beautiful crystals. They said they didn't show me. I was not meant to know, but they said crystals unlike you've seen. I don't know, and they have really amazing healing powers and things like that. So I'm not sure. We might see them today. I don't know, but everything's sort of like they're very, like I said, they're not social, but they're happy to share with us. But they're not showing us 100% everything until maybe they have to get clearance. I don't know.
No, understandable.
Yeah, and they live in simple means. You know, they don't have. I don't know what they do, how they cook their food. I think they cook it probably over a little fire or something. And that's probably what we've got to find out today. We've got to find out. I want to know about what they're doing for clothing, because even though they're hairy, some of them are covered. I want to know what they're doing for that, how they make that. Because we're going back to that kind of clothing. Remember, we saw how we're going back to the cottons and the linens and things, the Egyptian cotton and the linen and stuff. So I want to find out. And a lot of the hemp and the plants that can make clothes.
Yeah. Would there be fish in the water? Well, they don't do fish.
Yeah, there is, but they're not really into seafood. They're more land-based. So they like they like their fruits, their berries, that kind of thing. Like I said, they don't go out. They don't eat. They're not big on meat, but they eat it if they find it dead, because it disposes of it and it's more hygienic for them, which is understandable. They don't want carcasses flying around.
No. They probably eat roots and
they eat.
I wonder if we have vegetables up there, mountain vegetables or something.
Well, there's a lot we don't know about.
Yeah.
That's why I saw the blackberry, I think, because it scratched my arm when I went through it last night. And then I came out by the water and I saw a boat. So they must build boats too, like a little rowboat.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they probably build their little boats. I don't know. Maybe that's how they get across the water.
Yeah. Go and visit a family.
What's that about?
Like a dugout?
Yeah. It was just a little boat. Very simple. Simple needs, basic needs. But we've got to find out more today. So, go in with that intention, I suppose. I kind of feel like they don't want to share too much, but they want to show us some stuff because we're going to be using it in New Earth. And there's even different berries and mushrooms and things like that we don't know about, that they were obviously living off.
Yeah, alpine stuff.
Yeah, and you think the pine cone and stuff like that, that's medicine, that's food. They used to eat something out of the pine cone and make something.
Oh, the seeds, eh?
The seeds are.
Yeah, the seeds.
So it'd be seeds and things like that, I guess, and bulbs of plants.
Yeah.
So remember, we were told we were going to go back to plants with bulbs.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what, Angel, you should be asking as a cook, as an interest in that. You should be asking about their food, because if they're using bulbs, there might be bulbs that are up there that we haven't had yet. I mean, all we've got down here are your onion bulbs and your leeks and things like that. I'd love to know what else they have.
I think I'm giving up cooking.
What about things like turmeric and that? I wonder if they've got things like that we can eat, but there's other varieties and things, like you say.
Yeah.
Turmeric is a root plant.
Yeah. There's a lot of root and ginger and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of different ginger.
They're almost the same.
Wow. And what about the water plants? You think about some of them.
Mm.
I wonder if water plants grow in there.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's mermaids there. I mean, we've got a lot to find out, I suppose, when you think about it. And you always see birds flying over the top. They must know something.
Mm.
All right. One of the rescued children, she's grown up there.
Yeah.
So she's human, but she's become like them.
And they never return the children or the animals back?
No, because they're considered dead. That you can't return someone back to their family if they think they're dead.
Sure. Okay.
And if they did, they'd probably get taken again because they've been marked.
Well, yeah. And they have to be careful about being found out.
It's the story like Tarzan, raised by the monkeys.
But there were different people there. Not everybody was alike. So that's probably what it was, is people who had
been rescued
grown up there. Yeah.
Like Tarzan was, and he was raised by, what was it, monkeys. And this is why we get shown these stories. They tell us the truth. They have to. Somewhere along the line they do this. I just feel like every time something comes out of our meditation, we get something new that we've already been told previously from a story or a movie or a fairy tale. It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's why she knew how to store everything. She'd seen it obviously in her own home as a child and knew how to do it all.
Yeah.
Maybe she was teaching them, and that's how she created the pouch and everything. We just, this is what's so interesting about.
Maybe they found a cabin up in the woods somewhere.
Yeah. So I'll go because I can see Teresa's still writing. I went with Alfie and Shell, and they took me straight away to Lake Taupo. And I was like, far out. And they took me to this place right up high on the mountains around the lake, which I didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just gobsmacked. It was like the time when we stood on Paikokariki Hill and did the tribal activation. You guys joined us, and you could see the 380-degree of New Zealand. Well, it was like that, but looking over all the lake system, Lake Taupo, Lake Roche. I saw the moa, and they showed me how the moa used to live there. And, you saw that with the giants, Teresa. Well, they showed me how they destroyed the moa because the moa has some special abilities. They showed me the Lemurian energy and how it bounces around these stargates, and it sits there and it stirs like this. That's what's so magical about these big lakes. They showed me the taniwha, which is the Maori word for sea monster, and it's amazing. Oh my God, I almost bawled my eyes out. I have actually seen it one other time. It's Lemurian being with the Lemurian codes, like the avatar codes, and it's blue, and it carries the Lemurian water codes, which is from Sirius. So it comes from, it's a Syrian, they said it's a Syrian being. And they showed me the eyes, and I drew them, and they're like spirals. The two eyes are like spirals there and there. So they're not eyeballs, they're spirals. Really amazing. They showed me the kumara plant, which is the purple red sweet potato, which is known to New Zealand. And they said it used to be very purple. It used to be a completely different purple, and it's coming back for New Earth, and it was made purple that way, like any of the other purple plants, especially things like rhubarb, beetroot, any of those sort of purple plant vegetables. They said it's going to be more purple because it was initially for your consciousness. It was a root plant for your consciousness. It's been manipulated. They said a lot of the berries that used to exist, which is what you got, have disappeared. And they showed me the Chinese gooseberry that used to wrap up in a brown sort of, we don't see them anymore. And they've got the yellow center, and you pull the yellow center out and you eat it. You don't see them anymore. And they talked about the crab apples again too. So the crab apples, coming back, because they were quite sweet but sour, but they've got a special consistency in them that's got a vibration for us, and they live off them. They were showing me. They said that the taniwha, and they showed me the tail, and it's a triangle like that, and it's got like a flipper at the end. Doesn't have wings, has a couple of fins. They said new mushrooms are to come for our food source, which will replace the meat. So it'll be a protein-based mushroom. They showed me the flat stargate that Lake Taupo is, and it holds gold. So it's flat like that. So it's not oval and you go through it. It's flat and you go under it like that. And then they showed me Rotorua, and all the lakes in Rotorua are the same stargates. And then the last comment was all Earth will return back to the way it was. They brought me back to the platform to meet you guys.
Wow. There's Maori potatoes that are purple. They're little fellas like this, and they're purple. So have they remained original, or have they been tampered with too? You can't buy the seeds, you have to get them from other people.
Yeah, they've probably been tempered a little bit, but they're going to go back to what they were made for. And that's what he was telling me. Alfie was telling me about the kumara. They're working on it now. It's all top secret, all the different vegetables that are going to be for our consciousness, not so much for health matter. Pacific red, purple vegetables that are coming back that we've forgotten. Even the purple grape has been forgotten. They're more red now than what they used to be.
Right.
Purple,
seedless.
all that. So it's all for this.
Yeah. Wow, you got heaps. You saw the taniwha. Wow,
I saw the taniwha. Oh, it's beautiful. I want to draw it.
Oh, good. Right. Well,
for carrying the babies and that around, because some of them had them on their backs and that. What it was like a flax bush, but it's wider, as you say. They grate it on stones to get the fiber, and they were rubbing it on stones. Yeah, I saw that. That's what she showed me. And that type of formula is going to come back when we do our natural clothing. So cool. Gosh, you guys all got a lot too. So yeah, and that's what I was getting. You know how you saw the star fruit? I was talking about that Chinese gooseberry fruit, how that's all going to come back, and it's going to be bigger, like more like an apple, not a berry. And so we've got all this to look forward to in New Earth, because they've held it back from us. And so the mountain people rescued it and kept it going. They've got the crops going ready and share it with us. So, the other thing they told me is they protect the glowworms in the caves.
Oh, that's good.
Because the glowworms evidently are something pretty magical. And you know how there's gossip out there about, I don't know how real it is, but people are talking about the elites, how they've been eating mermaid tail.
Yeah.
something about the glowworms as well.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. They didn't tell me. They just said they protect them before that kind of purpose.
Yeah.
That's why you
That's
don't see
interesting.
many. And that's why they only open up a cave here and there for the public to see, like Waitomo.
Yeah, yeah.